The wind had a sound at night, not just a howl but a warning, like the land itself was telling people to stay alive if they could. When the power went out across the valley and the temperature dropped past anything the radio had ever warned about, the neighbors remembered her. They remembered the woman they had laughed at all summer, the one who pushed dirt up against her little house and called it protection. And in that moment, as the cold crept through walls and bones, they wondered if she had known something they hadn't. Her name was Mara, and she hadn't planned on becoming strange. She had moved to the edge of a small Canadian town after her husband died in a highway accident 2 winters earlier. Grief had a way of making noise inside your head, and the quiet land beyond the last row of houses felt like the only place where she could breathe. The house she bought was old, drafty, and cheap. When the first winter hit, she realized cheap could also mean dangerous. She spent nights wrapped in blankets, listening to the furnace struggle, thinking about how cold could kill without drama or mercy. In the spring, she started digging. She read about earth berm homes in library books and old online forums, about how soil could hold warmth when the air turned cruel. She couldn't afford renovations or contractors, so she worked alone. She piled earth against the north and west sides of her house, shaping it like a protective shoulder. People driving past slowed down, staring. Neighbors joked at the hardware store. Some called it a folly, a desperate widow's project, something she'd regret when the rain came. Mara heard the laughter, but she kept working. She remembered the cold nights, the way grief and winter felt too similar, both creeping in when you were tired. She packed the soil tight, planted grass to hold it, and sealed every crack she could find. When autumn arrived, her house felt different. Quieter, warmer. Still, no one believed it mattered. Then came the winter no one was ready for. Storm after storm buried roads. The temperature fell lower than it had in decades. Power lines snapped under ice. Furnaces failed. The town shelter filled fast, and then it filled too much. People tried to heat their homes with whatever they had, but the cold found its way in anyway. Pipes burst. Breath froze inside bedrooms. Mara's house stayed still. The wind hit the berm and lost its bite. The earth held the day's warmth like a secret. When the power went out, her temperature dropped, but slowly, gently, like a hand loosening rather than a fist slamming shut. She lit candles, cooked on a small stove, and waited. On the second night, she heard knocking. It was her nearest neighbor first, then another family, then an older couple from down the road. Their faces were pale, their voices tight with fear they were trying not to show. Mara didn't hesitate. She opened the door and made space. People slept on the floor, shared soup, shared stories. Children stopped shivering. The cold stayed outside. Word spread. Those who had mocked her berm now followed footprints through snow to her door. Pride dissolved quickly when survival was on the line. Inside that earth-wrapped house, something changed. The warmth wasn't just physical. It was human. People realized they had been wrong, not just about dirt and insulation, but about listening, about community, about quiet ideas that don't look impressive until they matter most. When the storms finally eased and the power returned, the town looked at Mara differently. The jokes stopped. Questions began. Some neighbors started building their own berms, asking for advice instead of offering opinions. Mara didn't feel triumphant. She felt tired, and quietly grateful that the land she trusted had held. That night, after everyone left, she stood outside and listened to the wind again. It sounded less like a warning now and more like a reminder. Survival isn't always loud or expensive. Sometimes it's patient, covered in dirt, and built by someone everyone else underestimated. And somewhere in the valley, as heaters hummed back to life, people remembered the woman they once called foolish, and how her earth berm kept them alive through the coldest winter.